Hey, good Hoosier morning. That's right, Indiana in the NCAA. I guess it's the college football Final Four, but I call it the NCAA Final Four because that sounds freaking awesome. Let's go through the game. If you watched last night, the one thing that you saw was great quarterback play. Mississippi's quarterback, Shambliss, struggled a little bit, and damn, did he get good. And you can say whatever you'd like about Carson Beck, the quarterback for the Miami Hurricanes, but how about that last drive? Was he on point? Was he throwing the ball where it needed to be, when it needed to be there in massive situations? And this is what we've talked about pretty much all week about the Indiana Oregon game. Last time they played, Dante Moore, the star quarterback, who at the time was actually the Heisman Trophy favorite going into that game, he threw two picks. Fernando Mendoza did not. Fernando Mendoza was on point. He was throwing the football where he needed to throw it damn near the entire game, and Indiana got a double-digit victory. But here's something to watch that I haven't heard anybody outside of coaches that I've talked to talk about. When I was at the Indiana-Alabama game, it struck me how violent, how physical Indiana's defense was, how violent, how physical Indiana's front line, the offensive line, and the running back, particularly Hemby, are. That's something to watch because the psychology of this game, let me go into that also, and then I'll get back to the hitting. The psychology of this game is totally different than what it was going into the first game. Oregon had come off of a massive win on the road. James Franklin was still there at Penn State. Game day, the whole deal, or big noon kickoff, the whole deal was there. Penn State was still considered to be really good. We didn't know Penn State wasn't any good. Oregon got the win, flew back, and now you got a whole week to sit on it. You're sitting on it as a college kid around a college campus with everybody telling you how great you are, how they can't wait to see you go undefeated. You're going to kick the crap out of Indiana because you just kicked the crap out of Penn State. That is so common in college athletics and so hard to overcome as a coach. Now, from the Indiana side, on the Indiana side, it was the first time people said, wait a second here. They haven't beaten anybody. Let's see what happens when they go to Oregon. Well, there's a difference in mentality there. And in fact, both programs have addressed that. The Oregon kids are saying, hey, we made a mistake. This is revenge, but it's also we're going to take Indiana more serious. And the Indiana kids said, look, we didn't play well. We're going to play better in this game because this is what we do. Now, let me go back to the hitting that I talked about earlier. When you are not 1,000% focused, it's a tunnel focus, hits hurt. You're not ready for them. You're a little bit softer. And that's what Oregon's players are saying they were in that game. Indiana's players, they go all gas, no brakes. So, this game, Oregon's players aren't going to be surprised by anything. Maybe. I'll explain in a minute. Oregon's players have already played against this defense, against that offensive line. And frankly, they got their brains beat. Indiana out-physicaled Oregon in the first game. All right, Oregon will be ready for that. But here's the thing. Physicality wears you out, whether it's basketball or football. I saw it live right there against Wisconsin on the sideline, one of the last games of the year. Lee and I were on the sideline, and we saw Wisconsin's big old guys physically dwindle by the end of the game. Not that they quit, but there's just not the same want to. And I definitely saw it with Alabama. Absolutely. I mean, you could see Alabama, the spirit was willing, but the brain was like, yeah, this is over. We got no shot. I don't think that's going to happen in this game because they have played one another. That's the one area where people say it's hard to beat a team twice. That maybe, just maybe, it comes true. Look, if I'm much better than you and we play each other twice, chances are I'm going to whoop your ass twice. But if we're the same and we play each other twice and you get beat, it's not the mentality of we're revenge. No. It's I've played you. I know what you did to me. I know what I did not do to you. And that's where this game could get sexy. So let's take all the psychology out of it, because that is absolutely the psychology, and the psychology fascinates me. Let's take that out. What has to happen in the game? All right, Oregon's running back is out, but he only ran for 58 yards in the first game. Oregon's defense, like Indiana's defense, is playing really well. I don't care if it's Texas Tech. I don't care who it is. You shut out an opponent in the modern era of college football in a game of the magnitude that Texas Tech and Oregon played. You're doing something defensively. All right. Both defenses are terrific. I'm not going to say, based on what I have seen, anybody's more physical than Indiana. So let's talk about the important things. Victory favors the team making the fewest mistakes. It's on a big wall. It may still be. I haven't been in there. On Indiana University men's basketball's locker room. Massive. It was at Bowling Green when I was there. Massive. Victory favors the team making the fewest mistakes. What are those mistakes? We all point to the obvious one, the interception. Moore had 2, Mendoza had none. But the holding call when you're driving and it's 1st and 10, you go for 9 yards. Whoop, holding. Now it's 1st and 20 instead of 2nd and 1. This is why I'm picking Indiana. They don't make these type mistakes. One of, if not the least penalized teams in NCAA football. And when you talk and listen to football guys, whether it's Kirk Herbstreit talking about Indiana, Urban Meyer coming on our shows talking about Indiana, the thing they always say is this: incredibly well coached. Unbelievably well coached. They're in lanes on kickoffs. They're where they're supposed to be defensively. They throw the ball to the right man. They never get a penalty that is unnecessary. They've been penalized, and that's mistakes. Oregon, really good, really well coached. If you were going to list the top 10 coaches in college football, maybe the top 5, I think these 2 coaches are in there. Dan Lanning for Oregon and Curt Cignetti. But that's what this is going to come down to. Who's going to make the big mistake? Who's going to drop? Here's a mistake. Who's going to drop a pass as a defender for an interception? A few years ago, Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't able to beat, I believe it was Joe Burrow in the, no, that can't be right. They're on the opposite sides. Whoever it was. Oh, the Rams. It was the Rams to go to the Super Bowl. As the Rams were driving, Stafford threw a pass in the middle of the field. The safety for the 49ers had it right here and dropped it. Nobody around him. You can go back and look at the play. Next thing you know, Stafford takes him down, goes to the Super Bowl, wins the Super Bowl, and now Stafford's a hero. See, people say I can handle physical mistakes. I can't. Why do you got to handle? You catch the ball. You catch that ball, you win the game. Clock was running out. You had a 10-point lead. You would have had the ball on the other side of midfield. It's like I always tell people, I got national championship ring. I'm not wearing it right now. I don't even know where the hell it is, because Keith Smart hit a falling out of bounds jump shot against Syracuse in 1987. It's very simple. He misses that shot. Jim Boeheim gets his first national championship. He makes that shot. Bob Knight gets his third. I mean, that's not necessarily a mistake, but it is. Get a good shot, make it. Get a pass right here, catch it. Watch for that. And here's one other thing. I'm going to go back to the line. 2 things I don't do watching sports. 1, I don't watch the ball in football, and I don't watch the ball in basketball. What do I watch in football? I watch the line. The line tells you everything. Who is going to be the more physical? I believe Oregon's going to come out nasty. Because if you don't, if I'm the coach, I'm telling you, you don't come out nasty, they're going to knock you on your ass and you're going to get embarrassed in front of the world. So they're going to come out nasty, but who can sustain? There's a word in football, many of you know, of course, you all played, push. Who's getting the better push? Who's hitting the initial contact? That's a huge thing in this game. Who is the more physical team? Again, let me go back to mentality. Anybody with a brain, hell, Stevie Wonder could see that Indiana was an incredibly physical team against Alabama. So put yourself in Oregon's coach's shoes. Fellas, Let me show you some tape of these hits. Let me show you how physical this team, how tough this team is when it comes to hitting somebody. Well, Oregon's going to have to match that, but here's the question. Can they sustain it? Because that is part of Indiana's DNA. Now, Oregon fans are going to tell me, absolutely they can. That's who we are. You're biased towards Indiana. No, 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 no. I've watched Oregon, and I agree. Very physical, very tough, all that kind of stuff. But they're not at the level that Indiana is playing at now in terms of physicality. So do yourself a favor. It's a fun way to watch the game. Watch the line. Don't watch the ball. We know where the ball is. Watch the line. Who's getting pushed? Who's more physical? And then something else. The second guy defensively on a tackle for Indiana against Alabama was phenomenal. Meaning, I'm the first guy. You're coming. I got you. The second guy, all gas, no brakes. They hit so damn hard. It was crunching. And I was 50 rows up at the Rose Bowl. It was legitimately guys that were around me. A couple had played football in college. That kind of, were looking like, Dan, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this. So watch that. If a turnover is going to happen, interception, okay. But a turnover, watch for this. And both teams can do it because both teams are tough. But man, the second guy knocked the ball out of Ty Simpson's hands when he tried to run instead of going down. The second guy for Indiana hits like a truck. Your older guy, Jack Tatum, Doug Plank, back in the day, Mike Singletary, Dick Butt, you know what I'm talking about. So those are just some things to watch. I got Indiana winning big. Of course I do. Hell, driving yesterday, my daughters and I and my wife, we made friendship bracelets. Yeah, we did. Mine said, sack up on it. I made it myself. There's no way Indiana loses when I got my friendship bracelet. Have a great day. Hoosiers! See you Monday.